Ladies and gentlemen, I have your attention. Actually, I don't even do this. We're going to get started if we can have the room quiet. Is this on?
Yeah.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Hello. I don't want it. Can I have your attention? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to begin the program if we can quiet down a bit. Can everyone hear? Is it not loud enough? Yeah. Okay. That's over here. Does that make it louder? That all right? Everyone in the back here? Can we hear everything? All right. We're going to begin. Here's the program. You guys ready? Oh, that's nice. Right. You need to read that? Jesus Christ. Okay, here's the deal. At this time, what we're going to do, I want to welcome everyone and thank you for coming this evening. We're going to try to speed this program up. I know it's difficult. Can everyone still hear? Wow, we got technical difficulties. Hold on a second. What we're going to do at this time is we're going to have the Leominster High School 2013 team walk through at this point on the newly appointed the blue carpet walk. They're going to be the first one to walk on what we had manufactured for tonight's event. We didn't want a red carpet for obvious reasons. Wayne Amico of Amico Carpets was nice enough to donate this runner. Thank you very much, Wayne. Now at this time, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do, we'll have the team walk in. We'll then have a brief introduction of the 78 team by Mark. We'll have remarks from Coach Dave Palazzi. We're going to give out these two nice awards, and then we'll get started with the meat of the program. At this time, please join me in welcoming, standing ovation, please, to the 2013 Blue Devils. What a season you guys had, man. I'll tell you. That's quite a season. Look at these guys. Thank you, everyone. To the Leominster High School Blue Devils, I can assure you, the people of Leominster are extraordinarily proud of you for the season, particularly the people sitting in this room who are football enthusiasts. Thank you for the performance you put on this year. Mark, why don't you come up and say a little bit about these guys? Mark Bodance, everyone.
We're happy to have the we're happy to have the current team here this evening. And one of the reasons is that the tradition of football in Leominster binds generation to generation. Players on the same team, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, we're all one big family. And this proves it this evening. And we're glad these guys, these young men are here this evening so they can see another team, the 1978 undefeated Leominster High School football team, be inducted into the Hall of Fame this evening. The year started with a big snowstorm that put a stranglehold on all of New England. For a time, it became known simply as the blizzard of '78, and all of us, I suppose, survived it. Winter receded, spring and summer came, and a frosty relationship in the Middle East thawed a bit when President Carter invited Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat to Camp David for peace talks. On May 5th of that year, Pete Rose got his 3,000th hit. But New Englanders were more concerned with another swat of the bat that yanked the pitch into the left field net at Fenway Park on October 2nd, when Bucky Dent gave the Yankees a one-game playoff win over the Red Sox. Remember that? Fear not. Our local gritters took a lot of that sting away, because game by game, week by week, they piled up wins. Ultimately, 11. A perfect record. 237 points to their opponents' 50. 6 shutouts they pitched. But that only tells part of the story. You know, in this endeavor, started back in 2009, I had an opportunity to interview a young man of 95 years old who played on the undefeated 1932 Leominster High School football team. And I said, Mr. Cavioli, tell me something that describes that season. What comes to mind first? It was only one word: togetherness. And that's what we have here this evening. In 1978, a young man by the name of Mike Kelly broke his ankle and couldn't play football that season. And his good buddy that he grew up with on the same street, Tony Carmadella, who was the halfback that season, scored a touchdown for him the first time he touched the ball after promising him he'd do the same. That gives you an example of the way these guys were together. But the season didn't end without a little drama. Of course, they faced their rival Fitchburg, and despite being a significant favorite, and despite gaining nearly 400 yards of offense to Fitchburg's 100, the game ended at a tie after regulation. And many of you may be familiar with the process of breaking a tie in high school football. Each team gets 4 tries from the 10-yard line. There's a coin toss to determine the order. Fitchburg won the coin toss, and the strategy, of course, is if you win the coin toss, you go second. So Leominster went first. And after 3 tries at the end zone, they ended up on the 5-yard line for 4th down. Despite missing a field goal earlier in the game, Coach Bolio trusted Frank Novak to try one again. This time he put it through the uprights with the help of Joe DeCarolis, the long snapper, and Chris Degnault, the holder. You got to mention those guys too. Those guys only usually get mentioned when they screw up. Now Fitchburg had its turn. And after 3 tries at the end zone, they ended up on the 6-inch line. Fitchburg had a bruising fullback by the name of Todd Becker, 250 pounds, a kid that ended up getting a full scholarship to a Division I school, Pitt. Here it is, all the drama of the season on the line. Many, many years later, I was at a wake, and I met a young man there that had a broad smile from ear to ear. He found out that I was writing a book about that featured that game as part of it, and he found out that his name was going to be in that book. And you know, I'm glad I had that opportunity, because that young man passed away a month later. And that was Louis Austin. He played defensive tackle, him and Joe Venziano, the nose guard, rose up and stopped Todd Becker cold and preserved the win for Leominster. Leominster went on to the Super Bowl and won there, again in overtime, and again with some significant perseverance, and notched their perfect season. So I'm proud tonight, along with Gil and our whole committee, to induct the 1978 undefeated Leominster High School football team. Before I proceed further, I think it's in order that a lot of the young men that were on this team have passed away. And I'm glad that we have many of their families here to accept their award on their behalf. So I would like to have a moment of silence for those young men who've passed away. Thank you. So what we're going to do is we're going to call them up one at a time. Gentlemen, come up. You're going to get a certificate and a plaque. Come along the stage. On the other end, you're going to get a copy of A Game That Forged Rivals. And then please stay up here. We're going to have Coach Bolio and one of the team members address the audience. And then we're going to put 15 of you on the floor and 15 of you on the stage and get a group picture for the evening to preserve it. So, please come up. Head coach Peter Bolio. Coach Michael Viette. Coach Roger Mercia.
Hey, have them come down with blue carpet.
Gil wants you all to take a walk on that blue carpet on your way up here. We're going to wear it out tonight. Michael Austin, accepting on behalf of his brother Louis Richmond Austin. Paul Beacott. Anthony Carmandella. Jeff McBride, son of Carl Cody, accepting for Carl Cody. Christopher Degnall. Thomas Degnall. Lorraine Palazzi accepting for her son Todd Davis. Joe DeCarolis. Mark Dickinson. James Ermini. When is this guy? David Collette. John Flanagan.
How you doing?
Michael Hannigan. Robert Hines. Michael Kelly. Daniel Kerouac. Archie Lefebvre accepting for his son, William Lefebvre.
I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's go.
Jack Martell. Bill and Rayanne McNally, as well as Dave McNally. That's Bill and Rayanne, our father and mother. Dave is the brother for their son and brother, Michael McNally. Marcos Meza. Mario Meza. Herman Murphy. David Pimerini. Ben Pimerini accepting for his father, Richard Pimerini. Joseph Santucci. Les Skinner. Robert Steluto, who will give us a few words after the head coach. David Bro. John Terracini. David Tucker. Jack Tucker. Thomas Valentin. Joseph Benziano. Chris Young. And Dominic Zarella. Just hoping we named everybody.
there more often. Best years of my life.
Coach Bolio, we have you take the mic and say a few words.
Thank you, Mark. What a group of guys, huh? 1978, 35 years ago. Look at them. Oh, Mark. I'll tell you, there's a lot of those guys in the 78 football team, and if you look around and you take a good look at them, they're ready to play a game this coming Thursday. They are ready to go. They're chomping at the bit. So you guys in the back, if you see a couple of new bodies that come in the locker room just before the game, it might be some of these guys, and they're ready. Mark mentioned a couple of things that are really, really important, I think, when you're talking about the game of football, and especially in the city of Leominster. When you grow up in Leominster like we have, and you play football, it's just a tremendous experience. It's something you never, ever, ever forget your whole life. And there's a whole bunch of lessons that you learn. And without talking about too many of them, I think that the first thing is, like that 95-year-old man said, togetherness, camaraderie, caring about each other. And that's what this team did. And you heard about Tony Carmadella and Mike Kelly. Here it is 35 years later. And he's talking about giving them a football after the scoring a touchdown. And Mike couldn't play in the game because he was injured. But that's something that stays with you forever. That camaraderie, that caring. And when you see it, and you see so many people here, I mean, talking with Mark last night, 350 people coming here. And this is what, 3 or 4 years old? And we got all of these people supporting the high school football team here, the inductees, and the undefeated team this particular year that's being inducted. I think it's a hats off to the city of Leominster, and in particular to this group of guys led by Mark and Gilly and the rest of the members of the committee, and getting this thing started, getting it and bringing it to a beautiful hotel like this one here, and having such a great get-together like we're having tonight. And the guy said to me, Coach, you gotta be careful because sometimes you talk a little bit too much. So. So I'm gonna end this with one thing, and it's not talking about these guys. It's talking about John Fiandaca. And this is a funny story, and I have to tell it. And I know Gilly's going to be bringing him in and inducting him, and John's being inducted tonight. But when we played Revere, and this is 1969 team, we played against Revere, and Revere is always tough kids, physically tough kids. It's a tough city. And our kids, John was one of the biggest guys. He was 170 pounds. Our guys were small. And we were playing against this one kid who was a superstar. He was a lineman. He was like 6'4", 250 pounds, went on to play in Division I football and became a really good football player. But he was a hothead. And as a hothead, once in a while, he'd get in a fight during a game. So all week prior to the game, and in those days you didn't exchange his film, so you couldn't point it out to the kids, but we scouted, and we told the kids over and over and over, listen, remember this, it's true today as it is true then. Don't get aggravated, don't get upset, and if somebody hits you, and retaliate against them. Because always the person that retaliates is the one that gets caught and gets thrown out of a game. As the game is progressing, those offensive and defensive linemen are coming over because he was a two-way player. Coach, this guy's kicking us, he's punching us, he's spitting at us, he's doing all these dirty things to us. We got to do something. No, you have to play clean. We're winning the game, we're going to win the game, we're going to embarrass them in that respect. Finally, we had it. Said, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to teach this guy a lesson. Stevie Mahoney was the biggest kid on the team. He was 180 pounds. We said, Stevie, you're going to line up right in front of this guy in the next play. They had called the timeout, and they were going to punt the ball. You're going to line up in front of this guy in the next play, and you're going to hit him as hard as you can and stand him up. And John Fiandaca, you're on the inside of him, and you're going to come flying, and you're going to get in a 4-point stance, and like an animal, you're going to go flying right into this guy in the side of him. and Kenny Goss, he was the other defensive player. You're going to be on the outside of him, and you're going to knock this guy over in a pile. Sure enough, they're going to come out, it's 4th down. Doesn't this guy, 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds, doesn't he line up way out as a wide receiver because he's going to cover the punt? So, of course, those 3 guys, they go out and they line up in front of him. They're going to do what the coach says. The guy looks at him, he's looking around, the ball is sent, and here comes Stevie, he wraps him, he was already standing up, he wrapped him, knocked him back. John cut him from the side, Kenny knocked him over on top of John. Now the guy goes crazy. He starts punching and kicking and everything. Our guys don't retaliate, he gets thrown out of the game. However, John Fiandaca, the animal that he is, or was and still is, John's on the bottom of the pile. We find this out when he comes off the field. John bites the guy in the leg on the inner thigh. And that's what made the guy retaliate, start kicking and swinging and everything else. So we stayed in the game. He got thrown out of the game. We left happy as heck. So that's my story for tonight. Thank you.
My humble apologies to the family of James Rhodes, but his sister Donna Bezal is here to accept his award and give him a special round of applause. Like I said, my apologies. Please come on up and... And now I guess we're going to have Bob Stoluto say a few words on behalf of his team.
Okay. Wow. Coach, you know I love you, but we're in our 50s and we got some guys that go to the bathroom. Thank God that's over.
Use the sundial.
I was worried. Joe told me I have 2 minutes, so I have to do my 2-minute drill. Good to see everybody has the same haircut as back in the picture. Love it. How's mine, Jack, okay? So, well, I told my wife I was going to be a little nervous tonight about getting up here and saying a few words in front of so many people. And then I realized that if I fumbled the words or if I went off sides or took too much time, my teammates were here and they'd have my back. So, appreciate that. There's a lot I want to say. It could take 2 hours, but I'll keep it to the 2-minute drill. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this memorable night. I want to thank Coach Bolio, the ultimate motivator, with the clipboard and the whistle around the neck, gracefully approaching the field. I want to thank Coach Vayette for plowing the snow off the field so we could practice the week of Thanksgiving. I want to thank Coach Mercia for calmly licking his fingers while he would turn the page to give us the next scout team play. It took a while sometimes to get it out of his mouth. But and of course, Coach Dubzinski, I want to thank him for being that guy that would stand on the blocking sled just to make it that much heavier for the guys. And of course, the fans who filled the stands, they were the best. The best fans around. Unbelievable. So over the years, since the committee's been formed, I got a lot of questions. I'm sure these guys did too, about how did you guys do it? How did you guys win? And of course, the answer that we always heard was that we hated to lose, we didn't know how to lose, or losing was not an option. Those were cliches, and they were true, and that was a part of it. But I was reminded by Chris Young last night at the pregame huddle that our senior class embraced the junior class. We took everybody in, and we were one. We didn't know it at the time, The three words that we were preached to and lived by were accountability, responsibility, and ownership. Those three words, guys. And you'll remember them 35 years from now, too. That's how we won, and that's how we were successful. So I want to thank my teammates, and if you would, please join me in thanking them for taking ownership, holding each other accountable, and making sure that we succeeded in our responsibilities as a teammate. Thanks, guys. And I think I'm down to the 1 yard line. I got 10 seconds, so the pressure's on. I have one last request. If Joe could please come up here, raise his hand one more time and yell out "huddle," so we can all get together and break one more time. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Come on, guys, we need 15 in the front and 15 up here.
Where are we going? Little guys in front
Right here.
Big guys. Big guys. Big guys. Big guys.
Dave Palazzi next.
Keep going. Go down this way.
I don't want to be in it.
Huh? They did do it.
The rest of my life.
Joe, you guys on the end come in front. Last like 4 guys over. We can do that. Come on in here, guys. You're going to be in between these guys. Really sweet.
Yeah, it's almost like a
Bad enough I'm small for this. You're gonna make me look smaller?
still making me look small.
I'm used to being behind Bolio, asking him when I can go in.
And you're still behind me.
Well, still, yeah, nothing's changed.
He beat Joe now.
Yeah.
Picture 1978 team. The table over here.
Wait for the
You can
flash.
get measured for a ring. If you're interested in a Hall of Fame ring, there's sign up and sizing right over here to my left.
Nice job, guys.
Three sets of brothers, right? The Tuckers, the Mezzos, the Degnos.
Have you guys heard me on the Hall of Fame? 78 team Hall of Fame rings over here if you want to get sized for that. At this time, David Palazzi, head coach, would you come up and speak to this crowd, please? Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Palazzi.
Thank you, Gil. I'd just like to say thank you very much to the Hall of Fame committee for inviting our team and our players here tonight. Actually pretty excited to be up here before you just to talk. You know, every day I try to talk to these guys and tell them how important it is. You know, the name on the front of the jersey is a lot more important than the one on the back. And for them to be able to see this amount of people in one room for one cause, and that's Leominster Blue Devil football, true and true, 35 years later, 40, 50, however many years, whoever's the oldest person in here, I guess, is just a good thing for our players to see. You know, we work hard all year, and I constantly tell kids, you know, you play the game, but really it's those memories that you cherish long after the game's gone, and those types of things really stay with you throughout, and they also carry you through difficult times. You know, this team over here, 78, I have to say a few words. My stepbrother, Todd Davis, played for this team, and I can remember I was in 8th grade, and he'd come home every day. He was 6'5", and he'd have mud everywhere. And I said, geez, what the heck went on there today? And it must have been, you know, a bloodbath every day with these guys playing. The Thanksgiving Day game that you guys see running here, I was actually sitting on a branch in a tree down by the river because I was too small to watch the game, and that's the truth. So, you know, when you talk about just where my passion comes from, Chad Garner asked me earlier, you know, what's going on here? How do you guys do it here in Leominster? And, you know, it started back when I was in 8th grade. I mean, these guys, I tell them all the time when I see them, they were my idols. I mean, I heard their names and running around at Doyle Field, throwing the ball around, and that's all I wanted to do was to play for the Leominster Blue Devils. And to really stand up here as a head coach, I could never have envisioned it. Really proud to be here. I want to thank Gilly again and congratulate all the inductees and congratulate the team of 78 and Coach Bolio. You guys did a great job, and thank you very much.
The next part of the program involves some awards for high school seniors. So a couple of the guys that are here are going to be recognized. This year, for the first time, we're giving out the Ray Comerford Award. And for those of you who don't know, Ray Comerford was a coach at Leominster High School between 1927 and 1930. Little background on Coach Comerford. In the years between 1913 and 1927, the Fitchburg High School football team was, to say, dominant over Leominster High School. There were 18 games played between those years, and Leominster's managed to win one game and tie one game on their way to losing the other 16. 16 of those losses were by shutouts. Leominster managed only during those 16 games to score 6 points in one game and 7 in the other. Almost all of those games, starting in 1917, were played exclusively at Crocker Field. Then came Bernard Doyle, and he did two things. He developed a plan to build Doyle Field, and he decided it was time to get a dedicated professional coach for Leominster like Clarence Amiot in Fitchburg. So he hired Coach Comerford, and he started out in 1927, coached his first Thanksgiving game in Fitchburg and lost 64-0. Still the greatest disparity in the entire series. But in 1928, they won 6-3, and in 1929, they won 6-0. So they had something going. In addition to that, in 1930, Doyle Field was going to open the following season, and there was a tremendous amount of excitement in the air. So the boys went up to Fitchburg to play before 8,000 people. It was a record crowd, and played a hard-fought game, but lost it 6-0. Well, Coach Comerford never got to play on Doyle Field. In August of 1931, he went to the South Shore and was at the beach relaxing, and he heard a young boy who was caught in a riptide. And being instinctive and caring about young men, of course, he dove into the water, swam out, and attempted to pull the young man to safety. In the process, he tired himself, but he did alert 2 other men who assisted him in saving the boy. One of those men grabbed the boy and ultimately did save the boy. The other man attempted to save Coach Comerford. Unfortunately, Coach Comerford drowned. The Leominster High School football team in Mass went to his services in West Roxbury, his native town. And I have interviewed guys who played for Ray Comerford, and they'll tell you he was a stern taskmaster on the field, but he was a gentle man off the field and very well liked by his team. The Fitchburg Sentinel said that Comerford died as he lived, aiding the younger. And we as a committee felt it was important to recognize Coach Comerford after all these decades and give an award to a young man in his honor so we can keep the heritage of Coach Comerford and his contribution to the community alive. Now, let me give you a little bit of the criteria for this award. The recipient of the award will be a young man of character. He will have a giving spirit, always willing to lend a helping hand to teammates in the greater community. He will probably not be a starter or a highly skilled player that gains notoriety with each passing week of the season. He will be the sort of player that takes his duty on the scout team seriously, knowing that his function is important to the success of the entire team, even though there are no accolades on Saturday morning. In sum, the recipient of this award will be the type of player that his teammates will remember as the years pass and the headlines fade. So the first recipient of the Ray Comerford Award is a young man who's been with the Leominster High School program in one capacity or another since he was 5 years old when he started as a water boy. When he played freshman football, he cracked the scale at 2 digits, 95 pounds. He's been a young man who has contributed each summer to the upgrade and maintenance of Doyle Field and the surrounding grounds. He's worked with his teammates to landscape the football field. He's become a solid contributor on the football team this year, and this past semester, he made the honor roll. It is our pleasure to introduce the first annual Ray Comerford Award recipient, Timothy DeCarolis.
Nice job, Timmy. Okay, guys and ladies, next thing up is the award that we give out every year, which is our most coveted award, quickly becoming what we revere as our Heisman. It's not necessarily given to the best athlete. It's given to what we feel is the best athlete, person, human being, civil person. It has a very special meaning to the members of the Hall of Fame. And when we designed this award, we wanted to have an award that exemplified some unique character in Leominster High School football history. And after several opportunities to consult with our crew and see who that was going to be named after, we picked Lou Little. And those of us in this room who know of him, Luigi Piccolito was from Leominster. He was a coach. He went on to be a outstanding college coach at Columbia, is renowned for upsetting Stanford in the Rose Bowl game. I don't know what year, Mark, but you do.
Jerry won 1934. 7-0.
7-0. And
We're about a 7 or 8 touchdown underdog.
so this award that we give out every year, it's the 4th year in a row that we're doing it. It's that monster right there that is a perpetual trophy that we keep at the Leominster Football Hall of Fame, currently at the Historical Society, while we redo the locker room at Doyle Field and put an addition on, will become our next Football Hall of Fame soon. It's in the planning. This award is given to an individual who has, I want to first give you the definitions of 2 words that are prominent in this award. One of the words is exemplary, giving a good example to other people. The other word that's key in this award is humble. And as you, most of us know, having a modest or low opinion of your own importance. And this award this year is, the nature of the award is for exemplary leadership and humble determination on and off the football field, in keeping with the ideals of Leominster native and legendary coach Lou Little. I have to tell you, there are 3 or 4 men among you on that back wall that could get this award. And when I say it was a photo finish in a very painful way to make a decision for a deserving young man, but yet a decision was rendered. It was very close and very tight. This year, we are proud to honor Nick Cordio for this award. And Nick, will you please, I want you to walk down the blue carpet, Nick. I'm gonna say it. I want to give you just a little bit more about this young man. You know, Mark and I would go to games and we would watch him. We knew who was in the running. We would watch this young man, how he played, how respectful he was. I want to tell you a little bit about this guy. He's a 3.98 student. He's ranked 3rd in his class out of 441. National Honor Society member, voted captain by his teammates, freshman, JV, and varsity. He did not miss a practice, according to Joe DeCarolis, in 4 years. He did not miss a practice. Wow. In addition to that, he has served with community service at a company called NSYNC Communication Center where he works with autistic children. He received his junior year, he also this year received a Dartmouth Alumni Book Club Award from Dartmouth College for well-rounded and positive contributions to the school. It's a pretty extraordinary young man. Congratulations. The name was already added to this trophy, and this is the one to go home with. Ladies, that's Nick Cordio, you guys. We're going to take a 10-minute intermission if you want to get a drink or use a facility. The football players are dismissed because last year you got tortured and you had to stick around. You're welcome to stick around and hear the recipients get their induction into the Hall of Fame, or you can go. It's up to you. 10 back in 10 minutes, we'll get the program going again. Thank you.
If the parents of the award winners want to come up, and Rick will grab some photos with the award winners and their families.
We'll be back in... Wow! Okay, we're going to get going here, all right? Now listen, here's the story. Before we begin, I want to recognize, good time to recognize J.C. Smith. J.C. Giacone. Now here's a Leominster High School football player who played Pop Warner for me and for Leominster High School for many, many years, classmate of Garrett. Went on to become a chef. He is the head chef in this restaurant, and he donates the crudité and cheese platter every year. Thank you, JC. And he cooks this wonderful dinner. JC's football helmet from high school year is out in the centerpiece. It's severely mocked up. He was a rhinoceros when he played football. A very, very athletic young man. Thank you for your help, JC. All right, in addition to that, I want to recognize the Hall of Fame Board of Directors, please, at this time. This is a very tenuous undertaking, and in this town, football is a subject that you got to be careful with, because a lot of, there's a lot of emotion with Leominster football. Long in years and rich in tradition, and these gentlemen who are on this Board of Directors with us are absolutely key and instrumental to how we organize and operate. First, I'd like to recognize, save your applause for last, please. The people on our Board of Directors are Ron Palazzi, Dick Robichaud, Frank Novak Sr., Roger Roseberry, Chris Young, Joe DeCarolis, Pat LaPointe, John Fandaka, and Dave Antossi. Please help join me in recognizing these gentlemen, please. I also want to thank at this time Jack Selly and Jane from LATV from helping us. The first year we're filming the whole program, start to finish. Thank you, Jane. Okay, we're going to begin with the contributors section of the inductees, and the first one up to present is Ron Palazzi.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. At least I didn't fall down this year. Yeah, I gotta get down. I want to thank all you people that came tonight, and especially all the Hall of Famers that are here. You were inducted a few years ago, and I see a lot of yous out there, and it's really great to have you people here. Tonight, we have a contributor. His name is synonymous in Leominster. He started with Charlie Broderick on the sidelines. And you people probably don't remember Muzzy Perla, but Muzzy was there for 40 years on the sidelines holding the stakes. And he was a big guy. He never played at Leominster, but he did play for the Leominster Lions. And his brother Bob is here tonight to receive the award. Bob, would you please come up and get the award for your brother?
Just do his and get down without falling. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hold on. Mr. Perla? Go ahead, Toby.
Thank you.
You'll notice he also walked away with a copy of a book that Mark Bedanza, one of the 3 books that he wrote. This one, if you haven't seen it or read it yet, you can get it tonight. It's titled A Game That Forged Rivals, and it's speech strictly to the Leominster football heritage, and I encourage you to grab a copy and take a look at it. It's very, very insightful reading. The next contributor that we're going to welcome up tonight to be inducted into the Hall of Fame is a very personal person to me, and that gentleman is Ralph Case. And the reason we find Ralph Case worthy of this award is very, very easy to recognize. Ralph graduated from Leominster High School in 1962. All of us know him as our wrestling coach. He's been in Leominster High School system for many, many years. I first met him as a 7th grader at M.A. Gallagher in a wrestling class, gym class. Ralph was the captain of the swim team at Leominster High School. He did not play football for a medical reason, but an extraordinarily athletic man. He holds records in that captain of the swim team on a local, state, and national record level for breaststroke and individual medley. Ralph went to Worcester Junior College, transferred at that point to UMass. Is that correct, Ralph? Yes, it is. Where he again, I'm trying to read scribbles, where he again excelled in swimming and both breaking records on the national level and the collegiate level. At that point, after UMass, he began teaching at Leominster High School. He was involved in local administration at the high school, then general administration, then general office, then became the AD for 2.5 years. His career at Leominster High School in that capacity in education totals 35 years. One of the most profound things that I have been associated with Ralph about, in 2001 as an AD, he decided to invite a few people to Fitchburg High School for the beginning of their game. Upstairs of their locker room is this magnificent room, which is their Hall of Fame room. And it's all oak. There's busts of football people and footballs, and there's players there, and there's a fire going. And I said, Ralph, I've never been here all my life. It was Garrett's senior year, 3 sons that played football. Ralph, what's the story with this? Why don't we have one of these? That's why I wanted you here. Why don't you meet me down Doyle Field on Monday? This is Thanksgiving morning, 2000. So there we go, and we met at Doyle Field, and we go in the locker room, and we decided at that time that we're going to try to redo the top floor of the existing clubhouse to make it this similar looking structure. And we didn't know how or where the money was going to come from or how we were going to begin it, but we did. And we started as a nucleus of my wife, Maureen, Jan Listella, and we quickly got involved, Joe Rappa and Pat LaPointe. Joe Rappa was the superintendent of schools at the time. And what you see at Doyle Field is the genesis of Ralph's idea to redo Doyle Field, and not in a small way, as you know. And that project has been going on since 2001 with a lot of different committee members on the board who have put in a lot of hours. Joe DeCarolis, Mark Bedanza, Laura Proetti, to name a few, Chris Young. I mean, there's a lot of people that help us do the organization of that facility. And as you know, $5.8 million has been raised and spent on Doyle Field, and we're proud of it. It would not have started unless Ralph had this vision to do it. And I tip my hat off to him for having the perseverance to start it, having organizational skills to get this thing going. His attention to detail is extraordinary. I mean, even today, he texted me from the game, St. John's game, and his statement was, end of game summary statement. I mean, he can't even communicate in a way that's not official or formal. It wasn't the ending score, it was the ending score statement. So, and it's how he ran Doyle Field. For his first 4 years, 5 years, I don't know if it was 4 or 5, he was the president, He and I have shared that responsibility since that time. And his brother-in-law, Dick Robichaud, is the one who at our meeting suggested that we induct Ralph. And Dick asked me on his behalf to speak, to give this recognition to Ralph. Please join me in welcoming Ralph Case to the Hall of Fame. We're going to get a lesson here today while we're here. Just no one has to go to school Monday now. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you, Gil. Now, I need some team members up here. You've seen a whole bunch of team members, so I need my team. Mikey, please come. John, and Gilly. Everyone asks, how did the Doyle Field Foundation start? Gilly gave you a quick synopsis of it. Here are the players. Smile, here we are. With all the hard work of these people who endured all of my unusual techniques, we have brought Doyle Field to where it is today. And before I go any further with Doyle Field, thank you very much, team of 78. Great memories. You guys know how to play. No wonder you had no chance. You had Bolio, you had Bayet, then you had to deal with me. Poor things. Very pleased that you had such a successful career. And naturally, your Blue Devils. Well done. If you go on the Doyle Field website, right here you'll see the man who started all, Bernard Doyle. There it is in 1931. There all the people are on the field. This is wonderful. Here are all of you again supporting Doyle Field. Bernard just said, Doyle Field is a playground dedicated to all the people of Leominster. And in the opening ceremonies, not only did he do football, he did soccer, he did field hockey, he featured baseball, he featured track. All of the things that still go on at Doyle Field, and all the things that we have worked diligently to continue to bring along. Always at the key start of things are key things. Right here in this photograph, this machine ripping down the bleachers at Doyle Field. That was the start in 2005. And that was by extraordinary team member, Walter Fiore. Walter just stepped right up, helped us out, brought his equipment in. I had called him in the morning. In the afternoon, Walter was going away. Right over here behind Pat is another huge team member group. Those are many, many of the donors that helped Doyle Field get to where it is today. Many small businessmen, many larger businessmen, and all dedicated to Doyle Field. Every one of us has a story about Doyle Field. It doesn't matter if you played football, you walked there, you went to a Starburst, you went to some other event, but every one of us has a Doyle Field story. That's what brings us together and helps us to keep this whole event going. We have changed all the bleachers, we have changed all the field, we have made the tunnel, we have done the upper field with the baseball. Gilly has given you a brief snapshot of things that come with the clubhouse. Other things that are looking ahead are parts around the walking track. And we're so thrilled with the work that the Doyle Field Commission does to keep the whole thing running. And so thrilled that it is a multi-use facility. The turf field has just been wonderful. So all of you have been there. You're going to continue to go and enjoy it, send your children, your grandchildren, and all the other parts that go. I have to thank my family for supporting me and keeping me going for all these years, keeping Doyle Field going. So, thanks, family. And I'm so pleased that Mark Bedanza is a historian. He was always terrific, and he keeps on doing it. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Rob. Congratulations, Rob. The certificate.
Our next contributor and last contributor award is for a gentleman that I had the pleasure of meeting a few years ago. There's a lot of great fans that have been part of Leominster High School football over the years. But this gentleman is extraordinary in so many different ways. Not only did he attend every Leominster High School, Fitchburg High School football game between 1953 and 2010, but he participated in the program in so many other ways. Unfortunately, Bob Samia died in September of 2011. Bob was completely deaf in one ear and partially deaf in another, and as a result of a fever that he contracted as a very young boy. And because of that, he spent all of his grade school and junior high school years at the Clark School for the Deaf in Northampton. I think in some ways that may have contributed to his value of Leominster High School as an institution and as being a fan and supporter of the school. He ran track very successfully. In fact, in his senior year, his specialties were the 100-yard dash and the 220-yard dash. And his first finishes in both of those events against Fitchburg led his team to a victory that year. He received an Alumni Association Award, along with a number of other of our Hall of Famers that were here. In that particular year, the spring of 1957, Ron Palazzi received the Athlete of the Year. Wayne Hatfield received the Citizen of the Year Award. And Dick Robichaud received the Memorable Performance of the Year Award. All Hall of Famers with Leominster Football Hall of Fame. In that same year, Bob Samia received the Sportsmanship Award. And I think that explains a lot about him. He had a great love for the sport, which he passed on to his children. His wife Mary is here this evening, along with their children Louise, Jim, and Joyce. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce Jim Samia to receive his father's award.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Samia family, we would like to thank you for this honor, especially Mark, for getting this going. My dad was a great lover of all Leominster High School sports, especially football, and he taught us kids, growing up, especially myself, took me to all the games and everything. So this meant a lot to him. The history part and everything like that. So thank you very much for this award. It's greatly appreciated.
Step on here to grab a picture, okay? quickly down.
This time, we're going to have Coach Novak come up and present the induction to Joe LaPosta.
Thank you. We all need a Thanks, Gil. Thank you, everybody. Once again, it gives me great pleasure to say that I'm from Leominster, to say that I am part of this community, that I went to school with Ronnie, that I was there with Roby, that I was there, that I got a chance to see Sardelli play, that I got a chance to see Dick Surrett play, that Matthew Camadella was my teammate. I am so proud to be from Lyon. I live in a lot of places, but my heart is a Blue Devil. I want you to always to know that about this guy. The character of a community, of any community, our community, reveals itself by the people it produces. You saw many of them up here tonight. Many of them more will be honored. Many more have been honored over the past several years. But it also is revealed by the men and women that it honors and by those that we remember. And it gives me great pleasure today to remind all of us of who Joe LaPosta was. I am honored to stand up here because he was a guy, just like a lot of the guys in the room that were my age and younger, who had the privilege to watch Joe LaPosta play football and to be around him as a man whose impact on us made us better. He was a guy who really set the standard for defensive end play back in the day, back in the 1952, 1953 season, in those seasons. He set the standard. He was a defensive end, an undersized guy who went up against Gardner High School when they had Coach Dobzinski was the legendary coach up there, running the single wing offense with Javonen and Merkel, big heavy guys bringing the ball to the edge. And it was Joe LaPosta's will and his determination that shut the sweep down to enable us to win that football game over there that year. The team went on to have a great year as it was. And Joe also blocked 4 or 5 punts that year. He was an extraordinary football player. And as I said, along with his teammate, Paul Martineau, they set the standard for defensive end play and defensive play. And he was a quiet man, a man that loved football, a man that loved his family. When he graduated from high school, he joined the Army. He came out and helped over at Notre Dame High School, went on to work for Foster Grant, and helped raise his family. And his family is here today. And I had a great opportunity to visit with his son, his oldest son, Vinny, talked a little bit about Joe. And the 2 core values that come out when you listen to him talk about his dad is respect and trust. Our community is built on respect and trust. The game of football is built on respect and trust. Joe LaPosta was all about it. He was all about respect. And Vinny was talking to me and how much his dad empowered him with the ability to be able to say what he had to say, and his dad would defer to him and say, Vinny, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And they had a great relationship, and a relationship that all of us envy with our own children. And so today, his legacy of respect and love of family, I had the brief privilege to meet the mother, Claire, of the children of Vinny and Dominic and Kathy and Kim and Nicole. Had the opportunity to meet that great family. And today, I am honored to be able to present to his oldest son, Vinny, Joe LaPosta, number 24 in your program, number 1 in the hearts of the LaPosta family, to Vinny LaPosta.
Promised my sister Kim I'd keep this short, but I lied. Truth is, on behalf of my siblings and myself, we want to thank the inductee committee. My dad would have been proud and very thankful for this honor. He would be proud because he was proud of his work ethic, what it took for him to exhibit the kind of skill and athleticism and ability on the football field. He was proud of the accomplishments that he had on the football every single weekend. And I heard about it almost every single weekend. But he was also proud of the guys that he played with. And I heard about them every single weekend. And he was proud of the team that they became and the accomplishments that they earned. So he would have been very, very proud to accept this award. He would also have been very thankful to be such a great contributor to the Leominster High School football program. Because those of you who know my dad, or who knew my dad, can attest, and to those of you who never knew him, he was not a big guy. In fact, he was about as big as I am, maybe even a little bit smaller. So for him to play the position of defensive end and play it with the level of skill and effectiveness that he did really speaks to the amount of passion and love that he had for the game and for his teammates. So, as I said, on behalf of my siblings, I want to, and especially my dad, I want to say thank you to the inductee committee for recognizing my dad's accomplishments.
Go ahead, take it. Just do it. Togo, you're up. I like the blue carpet, Togo. One step at a time. Yeah.
The next inductee to the Hall of Fame is a player who has now passed away last year, but anybody that remember the '61 team with Tyke Maz and Roger Roseberry and Dickie Franjosi and Dave Valeri, there were 10 Italians and one half Italian, Roger Roseberry. And the glue and the iron to that team was Jake Soprati. And anybody that knew him, you would go in a foxhole with him. And tonight I'd like to have his uncle, Sam Fantozzi, come up and receive the award for Jake.
I want to thank this committee for the great work that they do, recognizing ball players. It's a great thing they do. Can you all hear me?
Now I can.
Anyway, I want to thank you all for being here tonight, and thanks for the recognition my nephew is getting. Thank you very much.
Take a picture of you and you share. Thank you. Go ahead, Togo. Go on.
The next inductee I want to introduce played on my team with Wayne, and Frank was a year ahead of us, but he played with Frank also. And believe it or not, he was a right tackle. And he scored a touchdown Thanksgiving morning at Doyle Field. And most people say he kicked it in the end zone to fall on it, so he could score the touchdown. But he told me tonight that's not true. But he made the All-Italian team when he was a senior in high school. He made Northwester County. He was a juggernaut as a tackle. And thanks to him and Wayne Hatfield, Dick Robichaud and myself gained a lot of yardage, because if they didn't block, we wouldn't have got any recognition. I want to introduce Frank Amalotti.
I did not kick the football in the end zone. And the other thing I want to say is the reason why Ron didn't trip coming up the steps today, because I reminded him of how many times he tripped on the white line on the football field, and I had to pick him up. But I want to thank everyone here, especially the committee. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Take a picture of it. There you go. Where's Frank? You're right. Here you go. You're up, coach. Okay, buddy.
Thank you. Joe's number was number 42. The gentleman I'm going to talk about today is Paul Martineau. Paul Martineau was a Northwester County All-Star defensive end. He played the opposite side that Joe played, and he was a great player. He went on and got a full scholarship to Brandeis University in 1953 after he had graduated in 53 that fall. Brandeis University had a great quarterback coach there, head coach Benny Friedman. He played for him and started as a freshman, as a defensive lineman. And after that, went into the Army, was over in Japan, did some coaching over there. He was a class guy, is what he was. He was a very intelligent young man, a very smart football player, and a man who had a passion to play the game. And as a player, he and Joe really, as I mentioned before, set the standard for defensive end play at Leominster. And when I talked with him on the phone the other day, he lives down in Sebastian, Florida, and he wasn't able to make this because he's taking care of his wife, Mary. He said, he was talking to me in coaching terms. He was saying, you know, Frank, low man wins, doesn't he? Always leverage, leverage, leverage. And when you win with your feet. You don't necessarily win with your arms and your hands, you win with your feet. And just listening to him talk, he probably would have made a great football coach. But he loved the game. And playing for Leominster mattered to this guy. He was an unselfish football player. In his senior year, he got the game ball. They beat Fitchburg 7-0. He did not keep the ball. He dedicated it to Leominster High School. That's the kind of guy he was. A very successful businessman, a successful salesman, married with 3 sons that live on the West Coast. And as I said, right now he's 81 years old. He couldn't make it because he's taking care of Mary, who is sickly and wasn't able to make this trip. But he wanted me to let you know how grateful he is, and the memories that he has of being a Blue Devil remain with him always. He loved talking ball. He really did. He loved talking football to me and what it mattered to wear the blue and white. And I am very proud to present to the Hall of Fame committee Paul Martineau, and accepting his honor, Roger Mercier will accept the honor for Paul. Thank you.
You're probably wondering how I ended up here with Paul Martineau's award, but just so happens that I grew up on the 3rd floor of his parents' house in Jerome Place in the French Hill. So I guess Frank picked me out, or Paul picked me out to accept the award because I don't think his family is around anymore. So on behalf of the Martineau family, thank you very much.
The next honoree was 90 years young this past November 8th. He played for Leominster High School in 1940, was his senior season as the quarterback, led Leominster to a win over Fitchburg by a 6-0 score. Lou Barassi loved the game of football and still does. He played for the semi-pro Leominster Lions almost every year of its existence from 1937 to 1953, except for a couple of years when he was off fighting the war. Lou is a wonderful man, great family man, married to his wife Nancy, who passed away unfortunately a few years ago. They have 5 children, Louis, James, Ann, Billy, and Susan. Some of you may remember that he was the deputy chief of the fire department when he retired in 1987 after a 37-year career with the Leominster Fire Department. It gives me pleasure to welcome to the stage Lou Barassi.
I just want to say thank the committee for giving me this honor. And I want everybody to know that all the guys I played with, some are gone, some are still around. I certainly want to know that I thank them for making me be what I did on the field. Thank you.
These old Italian guys in there. Thanks. Next up is someone that I have been waiting to get to for some time, not only this evening, but this gentleman, his name is Lou Barassi. Now, you might want to know that Lou Barassi is the oldest living member of Leominster High School football. I believe it's 91 or 92. He'll tell us when he gets up here. Lou played 1937, 38, and 39, and was the starting quarterback all 3 years. Pretty impressive. He also kicked extra points and punted. Now, this is all happening 16 years before I'm born. He's in the locker room at Leominster High School suiting up for a football game. It seems inconceivable to me that it's that many years before I was born, but it was. After high school, Louis had a chance to go to Cushing Academy on an athletic scholarship, and he played football there and quarterbacked as well for a year and a half before transferring, enlisting in the Army. He was there for 2 years, serving our country. When he returned to Leominster, he was an immediate member of the Leominster Lions football team, of which there were many Barassis, including his brother Stiff, and Tony, and Dickie. There was a lot of players in that era who revered playing football for the Leominster Lions. He played there for 7 years. I don't know what else you can say about him. I know this. He wore number 68. And we took it upon ourselves to get him a nice Blue Devil jacket with his number I had put on it, number 68, and the old-fashioned letters. Can we get a standing ovation, please, for Louis Barassi? Come on down, Lou. Come on down the blue carpet there, Louis, accompanied by his son Greg. You gotta take that sword off. You're gonna go back with this one. Oh, that's all right. Put it right over there. Think you can do that? Oh, yeah. I got you an XL, just in case you wanna put on some weight over the winter. You're doing Stevie Chick. Got it? Can't be as fat as Stevie Chick. Put that on. He's got it, no? You got it. Look at that, you look tremendous in it. You might pick up tricks.
Well, I'm speaking on behalf of my father, and I couldn't ask for a better thing to do. I'd like to thank, on behalf of him, Louis. Thank you, Gilly and Mark, and the committee for his great honor. It's nice to see him go in. Congratulations to all the former players who are being inducted tonight, who I had the privilege of playing with myself, and coach, and my dad had the privilege of playing with a lot of them also. Again, I'm speaking, so if you don't know my father, he's a man of few words, and the other half you probably can't hear in public. Anybody that knows him has gone up to the bowling alleys and wherever else you see him around. And that's in generations, by the way. It's not just it's not just his generation. It's many of the younger kids that their kids brought up, go bowl. He would yell at them. So kind of I got used to it. So he didn't know how to speak. He just kind of yelled. So that's why I took the mic, just in case he might want to yell and scream and swear at somebody. But again, if you know my father, that's how he is. If you don't, now you do. I'd like to congratulate my father myself on your induction into the Leominster High School Football Hall of Fame. Great job, Dad. I'm proud to be your son. Thank you. Where it belongs. Yeah, sorry. Wasn't expecting it. Who's up? Patrick.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Gil. My official title now is Doyle Field Coordinator. And the reason I bring that up is because when Ralph Case was up here getting on it, it gave me a thought, and I wanted to share it with you. This morning and this afternoon, we hosted 2 state semifinal football games at Doyle Field. Division 5 in the morning, Division 4 in the afternoon. It's the 3rd consecutive year that we've hosted that type of event at Doyle Field, today being the first state semifinal held under the new format. I just want to say that to you because at the American youth football level, the Pop Warner football level, and now the high school football level, Leominster Doyle Field is regarded as the finest football field in Massachusetts. And we should all be happy about that. Now, nobody's, except Togo, is stuck to the 2 minutes, so I'm going to take a little bit of here and take some time. I'm a very proud member of this committee. It's a treat for me to attend meetings and talk to people like Frank Novak and Togo Pelazzi and the rest of the group. And I'm very proud to be here, and I want to congratulate all the inductees tonight. I'm here to talk about a very good friend of mine, and I'm going to issue a public apology to him before I start. Because he played so many years for Leominster High School that I thought at the time he actually stayed back in school. Phil Carr, number 35, started playing as a freshman. Back in the 60s, that was unheard of. It's still unheard of today. He played in every game, and at the time, there were 9 games a season. Played the first 7 games as a reserve halfback. And I know, I hate this microphone. Is that better? All right, let me repeat what I just said. I apologize. No, Phil Carr played 4 years at the varsity level back in the 60s. Unheard of at the time. Unheard of at this time. He played the first 7 games of a 9-game season as a reserve defensive back, and in the last 2 games, he was a starter at linebacker alongside, and he called this an honor at the time, alongside Ralph Wallace, who was inducted last year. He continued on to play in 36 consecutive games. His sophomore year, Phil would start out both on offense as a solid blocking back for Dave Cody and a hard-hitting defensive back. And my memory is so bad now, I forgot he was such a terrific defensive player. I always thought of him as an offensive player. 1966 team won the Northwestern County Championship with an 8-1 record. Phil highlighted the 14-12 Turkey Day victory with a 59-yard run on an inside reverse against Fitchburg. Team success continued his junior year as the team went 7-1-1. Phil was recognized as one of the toughest and hardest hitting players in the league. He earned a Special Achievement Award in the 67 Fitchburg game. Phil loved to hit, and opponents knew and respected Phil Carr. Phil was named to the first team Worcester County All-Star team back in his senior year as a defensive back. On defense, he was a ball-hawking cornerback, recording several interceptions and fumble recoveries. He was the most valuable back and co-captain and played a superb game against then number 9 ranked Newton South in a 14-0 win. He scored a touchdown, had 83 yards of the 271 gained on the ground by Leominster, and Leominster only gave up 55. I say that because 83 doesn't sound like much, but he shared the backfield at that time with David Santucci, Kenny Tucker, and Bobby Mativia. After a titanic 0-0 tie and a tremendous rainstorm against Gardner, Tom McNamara of the Sentinel wrote, "The running of Phil Carr has to be singled out as this boy displayed a lot of power in bursting through the middle of the line and running over the tacklers. That's the Phil Carr I remember, running between the tackles, moving the chains, and keeping the ball. Strong, humble, reserved, but extremely powerful, loyal, and hardworking, Phil carried those characteristics into the game of life to eventually own his own company with his dad and brother, both named Charlie, which went on for 35 years. He has with him tonight the Phil Carr Fan Club. He's got 5 tables here honoring him. I'd like to introduce a very, very good friend and one hell of a football player, Phil Carr.
Thank you so much, Gilly.
We have to your mouth.
Thank you so much, Gilly, Mark, and to all the committee members. I am so grateful for this recognition, especially knowing how many deserving past players there are for such an honor. I want to also take this opportunity to thank some very special people who were instrumental in shaping my interest and desire to play football.
First, Roger Roseberry was my first football coach when I played as a young boy for the Leominster Giants. He always encouraged me to strive for excellence. Next, Ronnie Togo Palazzi. Togo taught me the game's fundamentals. He was such a great strategist. Togo always knew how to win the game. Leon Huck Hannigan. Coach Hannigan was an amazing high school football coach. His confidence in me allowed me to continuously improve my game and greatly motivated me to try to excel whenever on the field. John Cully Sr., just an awesome guy. He was always there for me, even to the point of taking me back and forth to all my football practices. Also to my teammates who had my back, thank you. You are the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Who we got up next? Johnny Fandaco. Yeah, he's doing film around. John has the distinction of being a guest speaker on behalf of Roger Roseberry, who couldn't make it tonight because he's had surgery. So John decided to step in and conduct Filmarama, and I want you to be careful what you say.
Don't worry, Phil, I got you covered. It's my pleasure tonight to speak to you about our Hall of Fame inductee, Phil Marama. Phil played football for Leominster High School from 1962 to 1965. During Phil's junior year, he started at offensive guard and played in the line on defense also. As a junior, Phil received honorable mention to the North Worcester County All-Star team. Phil's talents on the field continued to develop, and the following year, as a senior, Phil was named to the first team North Worcester County All-Star, again at the offensive guard position. Phil was a major contributor to his team's success with his two-way play in the line. His blocking was punishing and tenacious, and Coach Broderick could always count on yardage running the ball behind Phil. On defense, Phil would line up against some poor, unassuming offensive linemen and quickly informed him that he was in for a long afternoon. After the first series of plays, Phil, and you had that guy all tuned up, you let that poor soul know that the train that just hit him would be back again. As an offensive guard myself, I have and still had and still have great admiration for Phil and the way he played the position. Now, many of you know that Phil's workout routines are legendary. And I'm going to go off of my notes here for a minute to tell you something, now that I feel a little comfortable. Phil was doing his squats down at the old, before it was the Leominster Y, it was the Leominster Rec Center. And he was doing his squats down there one afternoon and had
4 plates on each side, whatever that adds up to, but the bar is going like this. I don't know, something like that. And Phil came off the rack and slipped and fell forward with that bar on his shoulders and hit his head on a plank that we had set up there, cut his forehead, and they rushed him up to the hospital and they stitched up his forehead. So Phil returned to the weight room to finish his workout. That's a true story. That is a true story. So that's what you call dedication. So his workouts are legendary. He was a major influence on me in the weight room, pushing me to perform to my best. There was always enough gas in the tank for another rep on a bench or another set of dips. Phil took his love for conditioning and turned it into a career as a professional trainer. And his one-on-one training is well known in the area. And now, without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you a great football player, an inspirational personal trainer, and a close personal friend of mine, our inductee into the Leominster Football Hall of Fame, Mr. Philip Marama.
Johnny Fandaka, thank you. Thank you for those kind words.
How close to your mouth? How close?
I want to thank him for those kind words. I want to thank Gil, Mark, the rest of the committee on the Hall of Fame Foundation for your votes and for believing in me. The first person I want to thank is my father for instilling such a good work ethic and never give up attitude to me. Thank you, Dad. Excuse me. Next, I want to thank my coaches. The legendary Coach Broderick, the 2 best assistant coaches I ever had, Coach Teddy Damko and Coach Donald Bones Bracani, and the best line coach I ever had, Coach Bob Novelli.
He's here.
And last but not least, I want to thank every single one of my teammates, first string, second string, whatever they were, because without them, I would not be standing here this evening. Thank you.
We're going to take a picture with you over here.
You're going to break the camera.
Phil also donated this ball to us a month ago from his collection. This is Coach Broderick's 200th win at Leominster High School. Phil gave it to us for the Hall of Fame. Everyone on the team has signed it. Thank you for that, Phil. You're welcome. Okay, moving on. Next up is going to be Mark Pedanza.
Thank you, Gil. 17 touchdowns, 122 points. That set the record for scoring in New England. It also broke a 4-decade-old record at Leominster High School, shattered it. Even more impressive, 1,205 yards on 140 carries. If you do the math, that's 8.6 yards per carry. Astounding statistic. But none of that at all describes Bob Mativia. I had, as a 13-year-old, the pleasure of watching a football game in 1969 at Doyle Field. Just happened to be the 75th anniversary of the game. Field was well decorated, and there was no place to stand there. It was wall to wall. Fitchburg that year was nationally ranked, and the pundits suggested that Leominster did not have a chance. Well, we all know what happened in that game. In fact, each of the game balls are here. There's one on the podium and one on the other table over there. Bob Mativier and his teammates put on a clinic and created one of the greatest upsets in the history of the Thanksgiving Day game, beating Fitchburg 40-18. The evening before the game, Bob received a visit from Greg Bacusi to give him a little bit of a pep talk. He spent a restless night, but he felt confident and ready to play against Fitchburg. In fact, he suggested to me that Coach Hannigan, all year long, had worked on instilling confidence in that team to put them in the position to win the game that Thanksgiving Day at Doyle Field. Bob scored 3 touchdowns in that game, and including the 4th touchdown of the game, a backbreaker, which sealed essentially the win for Leominster High School. Bob started his playing career for the Chestnut Street Chargers. Player, coach, general manager, field constructor, and general all-around front office guy, Doug Cormier. He was so good that he was challenged because he was, quote, a Pop Warner player. This was an informal city league. He literally had to change his helmet and take a lesser helmet so he would disguise the fact that he played Pop Warner football. But all of this still doesn't quite hit the mark. This summer I had an opportunity to meet Bobby and spend some time at his home. And we had a great discussion about the history of Leominster football and the 1969 game and all sorts of things related to Leominster football and the heritage and great tradition of this game. I also got to meet his wife, Jackie, who politely interrupted for a few moments and told me something that I won't forget. When Bob was going to turn 50, Jackie had been with Bob for about 5 years at that point. She wanted to surprise him by creating a collage for his birthday. So she snuck up into his office one day when he was away and started to go through some old files looking for pictures. In the process, she came upon a file that contained some old and faded newspaper clippings. And she started to read through them. And as she read through them, she began to cry. You see, what she had discovered was some of what I suggested to you earlier, Bob's exploits on the football field. But the thing was, she didn't know anything about it. He had never mentioned it to her. That describes the humility of Bobby Mativier, and I think describes him more aptly even than the great statistics on the football field. It is truly my honor and pleasure to induct Bobby Mativier into the Leominster Football Hall of Fame.
Well, Greg, I wish you had given me that pep talk last night before I get up here tonight. I just want to make sure I say thank you very much to the committee for allowing me to become a member of such a distinguished family at the Leominster Football Hall of Fame. And I want to say thank you to my family. My extended family too, and by extended I mean all of the teammates, who I've played with over the years, from Bennett School, the Chargers, Chestnut Street Chargers, all my teammates, coaches, through Pop Warner days, high school, college, etc. And I'm truly humbled. By this honor, and it is truly a big honor. I am very, very humbled. I'm sorry I'm cracking here, but I've always been a little sentimental. And my teammates will tell you that I'm not the one for words. I'm usually the one for actions. Johnny's the one for the words. Good combo. Yeah, that's right. 1, 2, 33, 27. Either way, right? But it's such a tremendous honor. And when you step back, when you live away from the state, and I've been living in Connecticut now for about 20 years. And after I went off to college, I never did get a chance to live back in Leominster. But as you step away from the community and you start to have your life's experiences, that's when you start to realize how all of the years and all the things that you did here through football, your football career at Leominster, whether it was Pop Warner, high school, whatever, that's when all of those experiences really come back to help you in life. And you've heard a lot of things up here today from a lot of the guys, a lot of the inductees, and they'll tell you first and foremost, they wouldn't trade any of those experiences for anything else in the world. And everything that comes from that, and your teammates, it just makes your life so very, very complete. And I'm really happy and really thankful to be able to walk down the blue carpet today here at Gilly and accept this honor. Thank you all very much. Thank you all for coming.
There you go. Nice job. I have the pleasure of introducing a teammate of mine. Luckily, you know, when we started this Football Hall of Fame, the first year we did it, everyone was posthumous. It wasn't a very exciting evening. I questioned whether or not we should continue with the Football Hall of Fame, but it's gotten more intriguing as the years go on with guys like Roby and Togo and the guys that we have yanked in from that I remember faintly because I heard stories. The guys that we're inducting now, two of them, Bobby and John, I had the pleasure of playing with my junior year. And it's the very reason that I had this idea of the Football Hall of Fame, though I would not be here and it would not be without the people who have helped us get here. But the guys that I wanted to make it for, that stood out for me the most, were John Fandacker and Bob Mativia. And, you know, John graduated in 1970. His senior year, he made Northwestern County All-Stars, 1968. He was an All-Star as a junior, Northwestern County, 1968 and 1969, his senior year. His sophomore year, he played varsity, and he was running in plays at that time, but broke his ankle, so that ended his sophomore career, but he would have made it as a sophomore, is my hunch, had he played. A guy so committed to Leominster High School football, when we got reacquainted, I asked him to come to the Football Hall of Fame 2 years ago, and it struck a nerve with him. And so I said, let me contact you and we'll talk about it. Give me an email address. And his email address was j.fandacker3327@gmail.com. Now, you got to understand, 3327 right and left were plays in high school. That was still his email address 40 years later. Still blows my mind. He wore number 61. Ted Fiffey had to have that number when he became a senior because of John Fandacker. He had such an impact on him. John played linebacker, and right guard. Played nose guard on defense. And, you know, those of us who were lucky enough to be in the locker room with these two guys, Bobby was the quiet leader. John, as Bobby referred to, was really boisterous. And he got you, you know, he was the one that inspired you. If you were down and he could tell, he could bring you around. If you did something wrong, he told you how to do it right. If you did it right, he kept that mood going. Strictly the team concept with him was always enforced. Their senior year, they told the newspaper writers, when they came to interview him after big games, there was nothing said about anyone being extraordinary. John and Bob had decided there will be no stars this year. We're going to just go the whole season. You can talk to us at the end of the season. And that's how they continued to run that. John's biggest games then, Nashua, Gardner, and Fitchburg. So prolific in the Gardner game that the head coach came over to him after the end of the game, walked over to him on his side of the field, and shook his hand and congratulated him on a great game. He had single-handedly dismantled that Gardner team. John went to school, after high school, went to California, took a break for a few years, came back and went to Norwich Academy. From there, he transferred to Fitchburg State, where he got a bachelor's degree in education and further got a master's degree at Fitchburg State as well. He went on to coach football at St. Bernard's, Lunenburg, Monty Tech, as a graphics communications teacher. John is the kind of player that I would liken to, you've seen the movie Braveheart. Well, Sir William Wallace was John Fandaca. Before the strike, you know, he got everyone fired up. He was the most prolific battler in that organization. You know, he was a leader. He was actually coaching and teaching when he was in high school because he personified perfection in all his effort. John's workouts were legendary. He told me he used to do 1,000 push-ups a day. 1,000 push-ups. I mean, I don't know how many sets you did until your arms fell off, but you have to understand, John's physique in high school was that of like a, you know, WWF wrestler. I mean, he was a specimen. He brought out the best in you, I'll tell you. One of the most memorable moments I have with John, and I'm going to tell a brief story because it stuck with me. I took him down to see, he and Bobby last year wanted to see the locker room. They wanted to see what we've done to Doyle Field. I told them about it. They said, let's go down. We went down there. And I had a key to the locker room. I opened it up, and John says, go ahead, Bobby, go in. When's the last time you've been here? John says, I haven't been here since senior year. Bobby says, I haven't either. So I opened the locker room, and I pushed the door open, and John says, go ahead, Bobby, go in. No, John, you go in. No, come on, go in. No, you got to go in first. So after they finally decided, I don't know who went in first, but they walked to the spot where this is what they're doing. They're like this. And they go over to the spot where, I said, John, where is your locker? Right here. And you always settled where the seniors went first. The other guys went everywhere else. So John goes like this to me. Gilly, come here. Stand like this. Yep. No, but you got to put your feet like this. Yep. Now move your heel. He hadn't been there in 40 years, but he knew where he stood and how someone's feet were. All right, you're me, I'm Coach Hannigan. Yep. All right, I'm going to be Coach Hannigan. Yep. All right. He's like, well, like this. Yeah, I got it. Here, Coach, this is for you, he said to me. And then John said, no, John, this is yours. I want you to have it. John gave the ball to Coach Hannigan after the 40-18 win. And Coach Hannigan gave it back to John. And John recreated it in the exact same spot that he did his senior year in high school. I think that's pretty cool story. And I thank you for that story. really. And then we went on the field, and Bobby jogged around on the field, and John laid down in the middle of the field, like this. So my point is, those are the kind of things that stick with you in Leominster High School football, you know, that carried on with these guys. They brought it back. We got reacquainted. And ever since then, John's been active I put him on the Hall of Fame committee. I put him on the Doylefield Foundation committee with us because he's committed to Leominster all over again because of his time at Leominster High School football. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to welcome John Fandaka. Thank you, Gil. My pleasure.
Well, I know what I do with my notes. It's one of these papers. Well, I think, Bob, you kind of set the stage. It's, but I wrote some things down, Bob, because I didn't want to get as choked up as you did. I wrote them down. So I can look at the paper and, you know. But it is difficult to express how I feel about being honored tonight by the Football Hall of Fame here at our hometown, beautiful town of Leominster, city of Leominster. I used to go out and work out and run around from Johnson Street, up Lancaster Street, take a left on Lancaster Street, head down to St. Leo's Cemetery, and I go by the Barassi estate. And as I went by the Barassi estate, I would be thinking of Lou, and I would be thinking of Guy, and then I'd start thinking of Officer Surratt, and all these people worked on your head, and you know, in a very positive way. They just made you want to be part of that group, and it just continued, you know. I go down Viscaloid Ave, and I'd be thinking about Psych. And, you know, and I take a turn, and I go down 6th Street, and God knows how many football players are over there. And you'd be thinking about them all. And they would just make such an impression on you that it got to your heart, and you just said, no, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this. I want to contribute and have this be part of my life. And it became a very big part of my life. If I took football out of my life, there'd be a big hole. So I'm not going to take it out. So I want to thank the committee for voting and finding me worthy of this honor. I want to say thank you to my family and friends for being here tonight. It means the world to me to have you all here. To my brother Dave, now I got to look at my paper. Thank you for your guidance and mentorship through all these years of playing and training on and off the field. And I couldn't have accomplished much at all without you. Thank you very much, Dave. To my coaches, Roger Roseberry, Larry Boissonneau, Dave Chester, Rocco Candiello, Brian Sullivan, Huck Hannigan, and my line coach, most of all, Pete Bolio. Thank you so much for everything you did for me. It made all the difference in the world. To Bobby Met and Phil Carr and Tommy Fratt and Dave Antossi and all the players that are here tonight that we played together, Eddie Latott. We had some great years together, and they started in Pop Warner. They went right through high school, and it was just such a run. It was so much excitement. You just went from season to season. You measured the passing of time by football seasons. That's what you thought about all the time. At least I did, and a lot of the other guys did too. I want to thank my mom and dad, John and Anna. They instilled a great value system in my brother and I, and a great work ethic and some great Christian values. And
I want to thank God above for all that He's done for me and continues to do for me, and for putting so many of you in my path. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm truly honored tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Want to talk anymore, John? You sure? I just wanted to double check to make sure you're all set. Yeah. Well, I think I'll do that a little bit later on. I promise I won't be as verbose as most that are up here tonight, but I think before I introduce the final inductee, which is a very special player, especially for me growing up, I really would like to take the opportunity to thank Gilly and Mark for putting together such a wonderful event this evening. It really is an awful lot of hard work. I'm sure they have a lot of help from their lovely wives and other folks, but this, I think, is the 4th year that this has gone on, and again, great job, guys. Very, very good. I have to say that several of the inductees tonight are really part of my earliest memories of Leominster football. In the mid-'60s, I got around a little bit earlier tonight, and I remember seeing Phil Carr and Phil Marama. Those are my first real memories of Leominster football players. Everybody goes when they're probably 5, 6, 7 years old. It was roll down the hill, chase people around out back. Really weren't paying much attention. When I really started paying attention, it was really those folks. The people that I used to hear about, the legends that were here tonight, we have, Lou Pacuzzi and Lou Barassi. I heard about those folks with, conversations, listening to my dad speak with my uncles, and my dad giving them high praise. That was really something, because in the Antossi household, I have to remember, my dad was born and raised in Fitchburg, and it wasn't until my freshman year that we converted him. But we did it. But for him to give Leominster football high praise, I thought that was really something. Then you had the late 60s, and we have two of the inductees here tonight, John Fiandaca and Bob Mativia. For myself, again, it was very, very special because it was my sophomore year that I played with these two folks. I have to say that, listening to everyone tonight speak about John and have Bob come up here and speak, everything that you see is truly who they are. I just want to give you one last tidbit about both of them that probably doesn't surprise anybody here, that I think that it was at the end of this 40-18 game right here. Everybody was heading for the locker room. Everybody was, certainly, about as happy as you could possibly be. I remember Bobby coming up. He was coming up to a number of folks, all the underclassmen, taking just a couple of seconds. He was always soft-spoken, put his arm around you. It's like, you got another couple years, do the best you possibly can. Really, he's even said, study hard, do all the right things. All the things you would think you'd hear from him. Then John Fiandaca comes up. He comes up, grabs me from behind, spins me around. He rips off his 2 arm pads that he was all bloody. He slaps me in the chest with him. He says, for the next 2 years, I want you to beat people in the face with these things. So this is basically, as you could see, their temperaments probably haven't changed much over the years, but those are the fond memories for me. So guys, thanks a lot. It was also during the mid-'60s, though, that I really had my own heroes of Leominster football. And I can honestly say that my first one was John Cully, tonight's inductee. I'd like to make a true story about how I encountered John the first time. He's not going to remember this, but I remember it. But before I do that, I want to ask a question. I want to show of hands. I want people to be honest. And this includes the ladies also, all right? Has anybody, when we used to play games, 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon, at about 12:55, used to line up on the west end zone, right near the flagpole. As soon as the national anthem started, the police officers saluted the flag, and about 100 people jump over the fence and run like hell. Who did that? Anybody? Okay, there's got to be more than that. No ladies? Good job. Either way, but I can tell you, this is actually a true story. This is what happened to me. It's like it was one of those Saturday afternoons. It was the same thing. I think it was at the time, it was Blackie Eaton. Everybody remembers him, I'm sure. That it is like It was one of these things that he always knew everybody used to do it. I used to wink at us sometime, but I remember one day thinking I was really cool, probably about 10 years old. You know, I was waiting, jumped over the fence, everybody else tripped, and I ran like hell down to the corner of the end zone. And when I did that, I kind of got mixed in with a number of people. When I got mixed in with a number of people, I got right along the rope, and staring at me face to face as they were warming up was this number 51 right in my face. And it was none other than John Cully. And so I'm looking at him, though, I'm going, geez, he doesn't look very big. It's like every time I've seen him, like if I'm up from the stands and I'm up out to play, and he just played so big. And he just thought he was so much bigger than he was the way he used to just beat on people. So I think everybody always heard that saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. I think that's what epitomized John Cully when he played Leominster High School football. But I was really amazed that he was no bigger than, you know, a lot of his teammates, but he was truly right there. It was really, really nice. What we did also is that, you know, John, when he made his mark, he played all 3 years at the varsity level, but he played offensive line, he played guard, he played tackle. He was a long snapper, which is not the most enviable position in the world. You're looking back through your legs, centering the ball, hope you don't screw up, everybody watches, and then you can't even see who's going to beat you up. But, you know, John endured that for a long time, so that was always special. But I think where he really made his mark and where he really solidified himself as one of the all-time greats at Leominster High was at middle linebacker. Absolutely no question that I think if you go back to the 50s, 60s, right up through 2013, John Cully was probably one of the best or the best middle linebacker ever to play at Leominster High School. When teams tried to run through the tackles, people just used to stop real quick. Who used to hit him? It was John Cully. But my favorite plays is let the other team get a head start a little bit. I used to love to watch the sweeps and watch people try to get outside. And that was always John Cully on someone's back, riding him out of bounds, 2 or 3 yard loss. That was my most favorite play. So it's like, it's that type of play and it's that type of dedication, it's that type of work ethic that really made John what he was. Like I said, it was a very, very special player for me to watch, as well as a lot of other people in this room. After graduating, John went to Bridgeton Academy, I believe, for a year PG, and he went to Norwich, and eventually got his bachelor's degree at UMass. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming and congratulating John Cully for his induction into the Leominster Football Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I'd like to thank the induction committee tonight. And getting along with what Dave was getting at, they call that no brain, no pain. A little bit of that. But I do believe with the support that we have here in Leominster, and I would like to take the time to thank my coaches, my family, and all my teammates for everything they've done. It all leads to success. We all know that. We can list many names here today. I can start throwing them out now, but I think everybody tonight has given names. I know them by heart. I'd just like to say thank you, and if we can keep the tradition going here, everybody's done so much. Thanks for everything. Go Blue Devils, Turkey Day Classic, coming up.
Come on. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this sitting period you've been going through. We had a great time. We'll see you again next year. Thank you very much for coming.